Okay, so imagine for a second that you're standing at the edge of a massive bottomless canyon.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And stretching across that terrifying drop is just a single, narrow wooden plank. The wind is howling, the wood is slick with rain, and you basically have no choice but to walk across it.
Right.
So what is the one tool you need to get to the other side safely? You might think it's, I don't know, perfect physical balance or a safety harness.
Or maybe just blind courage.
Exactly. But according to the highly unusual text we were exploring today,
Hmm.
the only thing that will successfully get you across that abyss is gratitude.
Which is wild, right? It immediately challenges our standard definitions.
It really does.
Because we usually treat gratitude as this soft concept, like it's a pleasant feeling you cultivate, or maybe something you jot down in a journal before bed to lower your blood pressure.
Yeah, a wellness hack.
Exactly. But in this framework, gratitude is not a wellness hack. It is framed as a literal survival mechanism.
Which sets the tone perfectly for today's deep dive. So welcome. Our mission today is to unpack a really fascinating, highly structured, and deeply metaphorical philosophical blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
It's titled The Codes of Behavior for Citizens in the Kingdom of the Greatest Creator, written by Feng. And as you dive into this source material, you realize very quickly this is not a standard self-help guide.
No, definitely not.
It is a roadmap for achieving a total utopian state of existence.
Yeah, and to really grasp the gravity of this text, we have to look at its foundation. Because Feng isn't just listing polite rules for, a functioning society. This is an audacious synthesis of global spiritual teachings. The text explicitly draws on the guidance of Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, the celestial Lao Tzu, and the prophet Muhammad.
That is quite the lineup.
It really is. And the stated goal is subliming the quality of human life to reach an absolute ideal realm. But to build that utopia, the blueprint demands a level of uncompromising purity that is frankly staggering.
Yeah, we are talking about absolute purity in your internal thoughts, your daily labor, and even the microscopic details of every social interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be clear up front, we are not taking sides or endorsing the theology here.
Right, of course.
Our goal is just to explore the fascinating psychological and behavioral framework this author constructs. And the text begins right where you would have to begin to even fathom entering a utopian state, which is inside your own head.
Inside the mind.
Yeah. So back to that cliff edge. Feng writes that only with gratitude can you scale the barriers of jealousy, greed, and anger to cross that one plank bridge built along the cliff safely.
And the alternative presented is incredibly grim. I mean, the text argues that without gratitude, you are essentially living a life on high alert.
Oh, absolutely.
You are surrounded by dark clouds, thistles, and thorns, and it uses this visceral phrase stating you will face dangers everywhere, like wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards.
Yeah, when I first read that, the imagery felt a bit extreme just for, feeling ungrateful.
Right, wolves and tigers.
Exactly. But thinking about the psychology of it, I'd compare gratitude in this scenario to a pair of heavy-duty noise-canceling headphones.
Oh, I like that.
Right, because it doesn't magically build a guardrail on the bridge. The canyon is still deep, the drop is still there,
Mm-hmm.
but it tunes out the howling wind and the roaring tigers of your own anxiety, so your brain can actually process the steps in front of you without panicking.
I mean, that is a brilliant way to conceptualize the mechanism at play here. Because the text operates on the premise that you do not merely experience your mindset, you actively project it onto reality.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The wolves and tigers aren't necessarily physical predators. They represent the cognitive load of resentment.
Right.
If you are ungrateful, your brain is calibrated to scan the world for threats, for what you lack, for every perceived slight. You construct a world of thistles and thorns because your neurological filter just won't let you see anything else.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy then.
Exactly.
You expect a hostile world, so you act defensively, which in turn makes the world hostile toward you.
And that defensive posture is exactly what destroys utopias, which is why the text pivots immediately to selflessness, using some of the most contrasting imagery I've ever encountered.
It is so vivid.
It really is. It describes completely unselfish people as glittering and translucent crystals, or murmuring limpid streams and drifting white clouds.
And the common denominator in all those metaphors is clarity. Like light passes right through a crystal, you can see the bottom of a limpid stream.
Mm-hmm.
There are no hidden depths or murky agendas. But if you harbor selfish desires, oh man, the imagery takes a massive, almost shocking turn.
It gets intense.
It does. Shuifeng writes that a selfish person is like a fruit or melon with a rotten core, and it gets even more graphic, describing a selfish person stirring up unrest in a group as stinking like a pool of feces.
Wow.
Yeah, and buzzing around like a blowfly.
We really have to unpack the mechanics of that rotten core metaphor, though, because a rotten apple often looks perfectly shiny on the outside.
Oh, that's true.
The decay is internal and hidden. But eventually, the structural integrity of the fruit collapses, and more importantly, it releases ethylene gas that rapidly rots every other piece of fruit in the bowl.
Wow, okay, so it's an issue of emotional contagion.
Precisely.
Because in a closed community, which a utopia inherently is, a hidden selfish motive is a structural rot.
Yes.
When you think about it, a buzzing blowfly isn't just gross, it's erratic. It's unpredictable and it feeds on decay. If a utopian society requires absolute baseline trust to function, an erratic, self-serving person isn't just an annoyance. They are an existential threat to the community's survival.
Right, which raises the stakes significantly. Internal purity, being that clear crystal, is the prerequisite.
Okay.
But a utopia cannot survive on meditation alone. The society has to actually function. Food must be grown, infrastructure must be maintained.
Someone has to take out the trash.
Exactly. This naturally forces the text to outline how this crystal mindset translates into tangible output and energy.
And once again, the text leaves absolutely no room for gray areas here. It uses the animal kingdom to mandate how citizens must work. It claims diligence makes people rich and refined, comparing them to bees flying among seas of flowers to gather honey. But laziness makes people poor and hideous, like fleas and lice sucking blood from animals.
Flies and lice, yeah.
You're either pollinating the environment and creating sweetness, or you are a parasite feeding off the labor of others.
And the behavioral mandates are just as polarizing. Like, gentleness is described as a fresh breeze. It is soothing and natural.
Right.
Malice, however, is characterized as a sharp dagger that is thrusted randomly.
The word randomly does a lot of heavy lifting there. A random dagger thrust is just pure chaos.
It is.
But I have to step in here on behalf of anyone listening who has ever just had a long week, because this hyper-binary view of human behavior is exhausting to even read about.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if I have a terrible migraine, oversleep, and snap at a colleague because I'm stressed, am I suddenly a dagger-thrusting bloodsucker? Does this kingdom allow any grace for a citizen just having a perfectly normal, slightly unproductive bad Tuesday?
It is a vital question. It really is. But we have to view it through the lens of the world this author is attempting to build. Shuifeng explicitly references the Garden of Eden and the bridge to happiness.
Okay.
In our normal, flawed society, a bad Tuesday is just a bad Tuesday. We have buckers for it.
Right. People forgive each other.
Exactly. But in a hyper-interdependent, perfect group, the tolerance for friction is zero. Your laziness or your bad mood isn't an isolated personal failing.
It impacts everyone.
Yes. If you aren't pulling your weight as a bee, someone else has to carry your slack. You are actively obstructing their bridge to happiness.
Wow. Which gives a whole new context to the text's intense rules about cherishing time. Because the blueprint states that if you cherish your opportunity, you become a colorful, auspicious light that brings good luck to others.
That sounds lovely.
It does. But if you complain and find fault, you become a grueling and disgusting burden to the group.
Calling someone a disgusting burden for complaining is incredibly harsh.
It really is.
But it is logically consistent within this framework, because complaining assumes that you are entitled to a better reality without contributing the effort to create it.
Think about your own workplace or social circle for a second. We have all been around someone who constantly complains, maybe about the office Wi-Fi being a little slow or the coffee being weak or the traffic.
Oh, yeah.
In our world, we just roll our eyes or put our headphones in. But in this utopian kingdom, that person is literally draining the life force of the group.
They are introducing friction into a machine designed to be completely frictionless.
Exactly.
And that friction prevents the accumulation of merits, which the text suggests is the highest virtue. You are supposed to be leveraging every second of your time to elevate the collective. If you are whining about the Wi-Fi, you aren't pollinating the flowers.
Okay, so let's summarize the pressure cooker we are in so far. To survive this utopia, you must maintain a death grip on gratitude so you don't fall off the cliff.
Right.
You have to purge every selfish thought until you are transparent as a crystal. You have to work with the relentless diligence of a honeybee, remain as gentle as a breeze, and radiate auspicious light 24/7 so nobody views you as a disgusting burden.
I mean, it sounds like a recipe for a collective nervous breakdown.
Exactly. If you spend all your energy being a perfect, selfless producer, suppressing every minor frustration,
Hmm.
you are going to crack.
You would think so.
So how does this society prevent its citizens from spontaneously combusting under all that pressure?
Well, that brings us to what I found to be the most jarring yet fascinating part of the text, which is the mandate on culture and play.
The societal release valve, so to speak.
Exactly, the release valve. But even the release valve is heavily regulated.
Of course it is.
Yeah, the text demands that citizens be steeped in propriety. They're required to actively learn culture, dedicating time to dance, song, music, and poetry.
It envisions a society that doesn't just work, but is constantly engaged in high aesthetics. It explicitly states citizens cannot have a tightly knit brow.
No frowning allowed.
Nope. You aren't allowed to haggle over trifles, and gossiping or spreading scandals is strictly forbidden.
Right.
If you adhere to this, Shufeng writes that you emanate charming fragrance.
But if you violate these social norms, like if you interrupt abruptly, argue irrationally, or display pettiness of character, the consequence is severe. The text says you will be avoided like a plague.
Avoided like a plague.
Yeah. Notice the sensory journey we've been on. We've moved from glittering crystals to the stench of feces, the sharp thrust of a dagger, and now a charming fragrance versus a literal plague.
The author is deeply committed to the idea that your internal state alters the physical environment of everyone around you. But all of this cultural propriety is really just the warm-up for the ultimate requirement, which is the mandate to play.
This part is so interesting.
It is. The text says a citizen must be as sedate as a green mountain and as serene as a green pool. But in the very same breath, it mandates that they must be good at games and entirely immersed in them.
It is a striking juxtaposition. Like, you must be a solemn, serene mountain, but also an immersed, joyful gamer.
Yeah, it specifically warns against sitting there with a poker face devoid of vitality. You can't act sanctimonious or look like you are sitting on a bed of thorns.
Right.
You are commanded to be angels of happiness and happy children. When I first read this, mandatory game night in a hyper-strict society felt completely contradictory.
It does seem a bit out of place at first glance.
It's like reading a severe manual for ascetic monks that suddenly pivots to demanding everyone play a highly immersive round of charades.
I love that analogy.
But thinking through the psychology we've discussed, you actually cannot truly play a game if you have a massive ego.
That is the core insight right there. Play is the ultimate stress test of everything this text advocates.
Really? How so?
Well, think about how difficult it is for most adults to genuinely play. We get self-conscious, we get ruthlessly competitive,
Oh, for sure.
we worry about looking foolish. To truly immerse yourself in a game as a happy child, you have to completely drop your ego. You have to surrender to a shared set of rules and exist entirely in the present moment, untethered from past regrets or future anxieties.
Oh, wow. That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are infected with the malice, jealousy, or greed mentioned at the very beginning of the blueprint, you can't play.
Exactly.
You'd be the person haggling over the rules or brooding on that bed of thorns because you resent that someone else is winning.
Precisely. If you are a selfish blowfly, you are incapable of flow state.
Right.
The poker face and the sanctimonious attitude that the text forbids, those are defense mechanisms. We use them in the real world to protect our egos and hide our vulnerabilities.
Yeah, we do.
But in a true utopia, where every single person is a harmless, transparent crystal and a diligent bee, you don't need defense mechanisms. You are safe.
You can just be.
Yes. The ability to immerse yourself in play isn't just a leisure activity. It is the definitive proof that you have successfully purged the structural rot from your core.
It is a beautifully cohesive, if intensely demanding, vision of human potential.
It really is.
Let's synthesize this journey.
Yeah.
We've explored a philosophical framework that starts at the perilous, windswept cliff edge, where gratitude is your only lifeline. From there, it demands an internal purification to avoid becoming a rotten core that poisons the community. It forces you out into the fields to labor as a diligent honeybee and a gentle breeze.
Yes.
And ultimately, it rewards you with a fragrant, highly cultured society where dropping your ego to play games is a sacred duty and the ultimate proof of your spiritual success.
It is a comprehensive blueprint for starving human conflict of the oxygen it needs to survive. By demanding absolute selflessness and complete dedication to the harmony of the groove, Shuifeng envisions a world where pain, jealousy, and malice simply have no environment in which to grow.
Which leaves us with a final, somewhat unsettling thought to ponder as we close out today's deep dive.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we spent this entire time analyzing the mechanics of the perfectly harmonious group. But if you think about the reality of this kingdom, if every single citizen is perfectly unselfish, perfectly amicable, completely agreeable, and they're constantly emanating the exact same colorful, auspicious light so as not to be a burden, what happens to the concept of individuality?
It is the paradox at the heart of almost every utopian vision.
In the relentless pursuit of this ultimate, conflict-free Garden of Eden, does perfect harmony inherently require the complete erasure of the individual self?
That's the big question.
Right. If we eradicate all friction, all disagreements, all the messy gray areas of a bad Tuesday, do we cease to be unique?
Are we all just identical droplets of water in that murmuring, limpid stream?
Exactly. Entirely indistinguishable from one another. It's a profound question about what we are willing to trade for perfect peace. And it's something to chew on as you go about your day.
It definitely is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. And as always, keep exploring the boundaries of your own perspectives.